LA Galaxy fans as well, but this is promising again for the Galaxy. Peck is in! Gabriel Peck pushed away, and then it's in! Here's Denis Bouanga. Gets around Yamane. Bouanga!
In moments, and yet the seventh goal of his season is an absolute banger. You cannot allow him to cut it.
Still howling second ball. Ordaz is in! Oh no! See the lead! He's a big game player! 2-1
under the ball.
Marco Reus does get it!
All right, I typically do not show the opponent's goals, but I want everybody to be fired up for this episode. Welcome to section 128. I'm Celso Oliveira, joined once again by Eric Holtron, and Katie Vasconcelos is with us one more time. Thank you so much for being here. And guys, we have a massive show today. 3 things to talk about. Of course, the El Tráfico just wrapped up this weekend. This is going to be the big topic, the one we're going to open with. And of course, a lot to talk about. A game of ups and downs, high emotions as usually is. After that, we will revisit what was, it seems like a long time ago, a beatdown of the Seattle Sounders, where we really felt we were going to be back. And, again, the weekend game kind of proved a little bit different. And, it continues. So this weekend we have another game. We're going all the way to Canada to play, one of the worst, if not the worst team in this league. I guess I thought it was the Galaxy, but it's not. And we have another test against a beatdown opponent to see if we can win a game on the road. Eric, good to see you, my man. You're straight from Oklahoma City once again here. Thoughts on El Tráfico, my man? I know that you have a lot to say, so I'll open with you and tell me what's going on in your mind and how you feeling, bud.
Hey, man. I think like a lot of LAFC fans, I'm very disappointed with this. Of course, as you always say, a road draw, a road point is a good thing. But This is the second game with a road point that feels like a loss. I mean, there's so much to dissect with this game as far as like poor management of the game, poor tactics, injuries to guys was an excuse of why some of the subs got made. I don't even know where to go with any of that. I guess we'll see next week, like who actually sits on the bench and doesn't appear in the lineup. So I feel it's the same old excuses. It's the same old not getting it done in a big game. And, just like Seattle as a regular week, league game, I expect we're going to go put a smackdown. We're going to see some 4-0, 5-0s on some league opponents and fail to show up the next big match we get. And it's rinse, repeat, man. Like, this is our life as LAFC fans. And I know a lot of people out there is as frustrated as me, man. And I'm just going to say, Dolo out. Like, fuck this end of the year shit. Like, fucking go.
So you're on the Dolo out train. We have to unpack this thing. But first, Katie Vasconcelos once again joining us. And Katie, before we dissect this game, a lot of chatter around Marky Delgado before the game even started. The man goes to Carson, picks up a ring, goes all over social media, and then goes after the game and says, I didn't know anything about that. I just went there to get my ring. They thought it was going to be a quick thing, and they make a big deal out of me. Victim or what? I felt like he was kind of used by the Galaxy to generate hype for this game. But how did you read this whole situation before we got into the game?
Yeah, actually, at first I thought it wasn't a really big deal. I was like, oh, we've done that to for players. They've come here for their game, but I don't remember making it a big social media thing. And then once I saw that they did it on Friday, and then they threw it out there the day of the day before the El Tráfico, I realized it was Galaxy trying to stirring the shit, causing problems as usual. And then also I realized, I've been watching some other podcasts where their general manager, our old general manager, has been going on podcasts. Yep, trying to, kind of lift everyone's, all the fans' spirits and I think he was trying to do damage control before they renewed Greg Vanney's contract. I think he was trying to get everyone on their narrative. And I think that that all plays into this giving the ring before the game thing. I think they're trying to fuck the narrative with this losing season that they're having, and trying to make other things more important than the fact that they're fucking losers.
Right. And look, Eric, what do you think of this? I mean, the guy has been nothing but a standout player for LAFC, a great pickup for us. We've talked how much it's insanity that they just let him go on the cheap. Yet he shows up with tears in his eyes the year before. There's footage of him in the locker room talking to, there's only one team in LA. But look, he's a professional and he's been doing this. So, are we to blame Marky Delgado, a guy that was traded, didn't really have a choice to sign with LAFC, right? And he's been a standout player. And let's be honest, contributed on assist with the assist for us. So, tell me a little bit about how you read this whole situation, this whole Marky Delgado affair, if you want to call it.
He just seems like a pawn in the game of life. I think, and he made a statement afterwards, basically saying that he thought this was going to get filmed for one thing or another. He didn't think it was going to get put on social media, and felt a little bit betrayed by that. I mean, it's. He got a ring with them last season. So people who go through that, look, Chicho Arango, I remember when he was in Salt Lake, he was signing autographs and somebody took a picture of his phone and his lock screen was a picture of him holding the trophy wearing LAFC gear, So I think when you have a big moment like that in your career, it becomes special with you all along. So I think it'd be really hard and petty for anybody to blame Delgado for looking fondly at his multiple years there, including the, all of it leading to an MLS Cup and a ring. Of course, it's going to be very special to him. But, he's also a professional. Like you said, he's been one of the best guys on our team all season, very consistent. And, he came out and said he felt a little betrayed by that as well. So I think he knows where he is now, and he wants to make good with LAFC fans. And, shout out Pookie Gomez, who would always say, when he played Major League Baseball, he had a coach said, that quote, you love your family, you love your God, you like your team, and that's because
it's only business.
It's a business. They bounce around.
Yeah, it really is. And, we're glad to have him. I'm glad this is out of the way. It's done. I can't wait for him to play at BMO against him. I think it's going to be very much different narrative. And, I did write a little bit about exactly what you said. He was a pawn in this. The Galaxy took advantage of this game to do a little bit of mental warfare with LAFC, with its fans, to try to turn it around. They're playing, they're in a tough situation right now. And, the results show. We get out there with a tie. We talked about glass half full, glass half empty last week, right? And we came out with a point in a place where it's extremely hard to play, right? But it seemed to me that it was a letdown, especially in the beginning of the game, that we let them score. Talk to me, Katie, a little bit about that first goal that, it was Gabriel Pack on the left. I felt like the fullback was out of position, and suddenly the Galaxy is leading a game. And we know we know what happens when we're not leading to begin a game, right?
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to, for LAFC, we don't do well generally when we're down a goal first and coming from behind. But you know what? Peck was outstanding. He made that outstanding run. He's an extremely dangerous player. I think that Hollingshead was a little outmatched on that side. I would have done a little switcheroo with Palencia at that point. But Peck just came in so strong. Royce barely had to do. I mean, it would have hit off somebody at that point going, down in the middle. But he was excellent. So it's our bad. And you don't want to start the game off with in 5 minutes, they scored their first goal on us.
Yeah.
So
Max Breto said, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was kidding. Max Breto said, it seems like the team doesn't get off the bus sometimes, right? It just takes a minute to just get going. And that was just a great example of just they seemed slow. They were not on every ball. And, it resulted in first, Igor Jesus has a big mental lapse, loses the ball. We almost get scored on. And then they finally get in the back of the net. Eric, your first 15 minutes of watching that game, you've been to that stadium with me, dude. Like, we kind of seen this before. You never know what's going to happen. The Galaxy struck first.
Yeah, and same thing. I mean, that goal came in the 6th minute, I think. It was like 5 minutes and change when it happened. And to me as well, Hollingshead, as Katie said, was completely outmatched. I almost felt like And I do feel like, I'm sure we'll get into it, but I feel like Artem deserves a chance at starting at that spot. He's young, he's quicker. I think he could have matched with Peck on the speed. The discipline and veteran awareness and presence and soccer IQ probably isn't there yet. But in the moment for that break, our whole, if you look at our back line, right, we have Palencia, Hollingshead, Long, and Segura. This is not a pacey, fast back line. Gabriel Peck can blow every one of those guys away. And to see the back line put themselves in a position to basically have a 3-on-1 against them is like inexcusable to me. Like, if you're going in with a lack of pace in your back line, you have to keep your positioning. You have to keep your discipline, because even half of a mistake and Peck is gone and he's past you when you're not catching up. And I feel like our back line just didn't, if that was reinforced to them before the game, I feel like they let that go.
I believe the entire back line struggled. That is my opinion, from Hollingshead all the way to Palencia. Nobody played well. Everyone had mental lapses. And if you look at their their SOFA scores, very low, the lowest for all 22 players on the pitch. So, like, it definitely, I agree with you guys. The defense did not show up. I would have loved to see Artem if it was indeed the fact that these guys had no legs whatsoever, right? Caving in and putting a center back like Marlon, another heavy guy, another slow guy, to now try to not be scored at, right, for the rest of the game against a speedy attack like the Galaxy was, to me, a mistake. So let's start dissecting what a lot of people felt was mistakes from the coaches in putting the team together to begin with. So starting lineup wise, we always felt like this is the best 11 players to play the game. But if the midfielders will not have a 90 minutes, they cannot play 90 minutes. Are those really the guys that should be starting? And I'll ask you, Katie, like, look what Greg Vanny did. He brought some of their best players off the bench in the second half, so they had punch. LAFC had no punch in the second half. What would you have done different there? Artem Smoliakov, to me, is a great option, but is he the answer?
I don't know if he's the answer, but I maybe would have started with him. I agree. Gosh, you guys, I don't know how much resources we have, to pull off the bench to go in at, for the subs. Like I said in a previous show, I just don't think that our roster is built quite the way we need it to be built. We have players that are a little bit, we haven't tested them enough to throw them into the Galaxy game, I think, to El Tráfico. I certainly wouldn't have wanted to go in with anyone other than the best 11 in this game. This is the game where you put your fucking best 11 in, or else everyone's going to just tear you apart if you do terrible. All things considered, we did not lose the game, and it was a big letdown, but it could have gone a lot worse. And I know that's not the way, and that's what Dolo basically said too. But
we have tape.
I just don't know who else you would have put in, to start this game other than who he started with, in my opinion.
Eric, of course, it's always your opinion, and they're welcome here, and I love to hear them. So keep bringing it, baby. But look, Eric, I was somewhat criticized. Some people was like, yes, you should have done it, because I said, hey, Giroud just sat there, unutilized sub. We had one more sub we could have done in this game, and we decided not to in a 90-minute game. He's a world champion, a world caliber player, and he was not utilized. At some point, I feel like, I know, I get it, but like, look, if he's not going to have a chance at all, and Delgado and Tillman are going to ask to be subbed at the end of the game, and Martinez could be hurt, isn't this a little bit of, maybe we should have played Giroud for 30, 45 minutes, and maybe he gets lucky, maybe he gets scored, but it seems like we completely give up on him. And the counterproof of this is Marco Reus. He's been horrible for them. And there he goes. He gets a brace on El Tráfico, because big-time players usually show up in big-time games. Don't you think he should have at least been played in this game?
No, not really. I mean,
everyone is out on this guy, man.
Yeah, no, he's fucking done. He looks done too. Like, it doesn't look like he's trying to fight his way back onto the squad,
But he's a top 10 paid player in this league. I mean, as of last year, I don't know if it changed this year, but as of last year, he was up there. He was making more money. He makes more money than Cucho Hernandez. Okay. So make that sink in your mind. If we're going to give up on Giroud, what's the exit strategy? Because it was like, yeah, fuck it. Let him sit there. We'll pay his DP salary and we'll let this work itself out. But tell me a little bit about how do you get out of this situation?
That is the exit strategy. He's out of contract in December and we can walk away. And so that's it seems like that's what they're going to do.
Imagine throwing him in there and him just standing there and falling like he does every single game. And it's not worth it. I'd rather have someone else with legs that it can actually do something than him standing there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, don't be sorry. It's the reality of his play so far. It's been horrible, and guys like Saldana and total rookies have gone minutes over him. Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I've been saying for 3 weeks our best starting three, and it was the same starting three that they put out, which is Bouanga, Ordaz, and Martinez. And like,
right.
How do you not keep starting Ordaz? Because the kid just keeps producing and producing. Big moments, small moments, like he's got that aura, and he's kind of like our good luck charm when he's on the field. As far as like Giroud. When he made the sub, for Ebobisse in, we were up 2-1, weren't we? I believe Ordaz. Yeah, Ordaz had scored, and Ordaz came out, and they could have put in Giroud or Ebobisse. They put in Ebobisse because obviously they decided that they wanted more pressing up front because they wanted to close out this game. And Giroud, his work rate which is for a guy that plays 20 minutes, his work rate still isn't even that good.
That's not what his teammates and his coaching staff will say. So someone is not seeing the same game that we're seeing, and maybe he's the best practice buddy there might have been, right? And he's been excellent in preparing other attackers, other defenders for it. But it doesn't look that way because our defense looks like crap. So I actually have no idea what's going on with him. I'm just pointing out that he's one of the top. If he's not top 10, he's top 15 in this league in pay, and that hurts.
So is Higuain.
Well, I mean, Higuain at the end scored a shit ton of goals for Inter Miami between Siggy. So, they still made it, try to make it work with him and not let him just sit in the bench. It hurts everybody's brand. I don't like it, man. And I'm going to say it. They put Marlon Santos in the game, right? Because they needed to close it out. Fuck it. Put Giroud in there. Let's go for it, man. We got to win. It's the worst team in the league. And I think that's where the criticism came from, right? Because let's talk about Dolo. Because I know you guys were critics of what he's done. He can't close the game, but how do you close that game? He brought in a center back. I thought it was the right move. I've been asking for the 3-back to finish games, but it blew up in our faces. We couldn't do anything. So what would you have done differently? Maybe bring Giroud in, maybe Artem in and making a 3-5-2. One of you guys, tell me what would you have done differently to avoid this shithouse that it was the strategy of the game. The in-game strategy that did not work for LAFC. Who's to blame?
I just think that the whole game started out. It started out with just a not pressing at all. We finally got, and it was Dolo ball right from the beginning. When we say Dolo ball, we mean that it's not going to press. You don't have all that exciting soccer going on. You are sitting back, letting them have the ball and letting them control the game. And we're just sitting there, just letting it happen. It's the worst soccer the fans have watched. We don't want that. They don't do anything positive when they're doing that. Sure, they might win 1-0 or 2-2 or whatever, but that's not the kind of soccer we want from our players. We have dynamic players. They should be pressing. They should be getting forward. They should be making creative plays up the front, making runs. And that's how it should have been going. And then we finished a middle part of the game. We had that. And then it went back to freaking sitting back and what people called parking the bus for 20 minutes.
Right.
We needed that 20 minutes to keep going forward. And we didn't. So that's where I got frustrated with Dolo. That's my beef.
What is it, Eric? Was it legs? Because again, a lot of the coaching staffs, you call it excuses, the reasons for the subs, and I got the same sub, right? They told me, hey, I got the same answer. The subs were tactical. They're not tactical. They're technical. The legs were gone. So what do you do in this situation? Is this a roster issue? Too many guys, not available? What do you do? Do we need to bring another guy? And this is why we're seeing Frankie Amaya play.
You don't park the fucking bus. I think let's look at Carson and let's look at ourselves for that reason. The dangerous part of Carson is their attack. Their midfield is not very good without Richie Pooch, and their defense is terrible. So anytime you're going to sit back against a team with no defense, not much of a midfield, but very good attackers, you're asking for pressure from yourself. The way to close out a game is to score more goals and score more goals. Also, this league in MLS is geared towards attackers. If you look at how the fouls are called, they call very soft fouls, which means defenders have to play more tactical. The way the designated player rule is all weighted towards much higher quality attackers. Teams can't afford to buy decent attackers after they spend their money on an attack. Otherwise, they're not scoring goals all season. So I think, and this is part of why Dolo Ball is getting exposed now, is that in Europe and other leagues where you have very good defenders and you don't have the attackers, parking the bus works because your defenders are good enough to do it. No team in MLS, and look at Miami as another one, of just abysmal defending. And we have, if you look at our roster, we have better defenders than most teams do. And and these really good defenders can't deal with an attack on a mid-level or low-level team because that's just how the mechanics of our league is set up. So sitting on a 1-goal lead or even 2-goal lead and deciding that you're going to bunker down and you're going to grind out this victory is foolish at this point. The answer is you put in a 3rd goal, you put in a 4th goal, and you force the other team to continue to defend. And that's, offense is how you play defense in this league. At least how I see Dolo Ball playing out now, this is kind of my epiphany with this last game, is that this whole idea of defending a 1-goal lead is a flawed premise to begin with. And you have to just put your foot in the neck and you have to stay on the gas. And that's how you win games here.
Yeah. Especially if you're not a possession team, right? Because if you're not going to have the ball and you're defending a 1-goal league, you're asking for it. And then once again, just to talk about how they score, another set play, another free kick. Here we go. And the same thing that happened against Inter Miami. We've had corner kick issues this year. So what's happening there? Before we see the footage of Dolo, talking a little bit about it's not all about winning. Eric, talk to me about these defensive lapses. Where do they come from? They were not here last year. I felt Igor Jesus was really tired towards the end of the game, and that was another guy that we didn't have someone to sub in. But defensive lapses continue from Lloris all the way to Igor Jesus.
Yeah, of all the times for Jesus to have a down game, it's you would think against one of the wooden spoon contenders it would be okay, but today it just wasn't. And Hollingshead is another one that he's noticeably a bit slower, and he makes some fouls too, especially around the areas near the box. Fullbacks obviously when they make fouls are going to be around the box just because of where they play, but a lot of them are because he is not recovering like he used to against guys, and I think so he's forced to make these fouls that are 25 to 30 yards out in those really dangerous set piece positions. And with the Marco Reus free kick, I'll agree. I was listening to Max Breto's show, and Benny Failhaber said that is the foul on Reus wasn't even really much of a foul, but there was a foul that happened before the play that the official continued, and he felt like that kind of got whistled on a 50-50 challenge because the continuation played and the advantage got lost. And could be or not, but regardless, that set piece was given there. We've gotten breaks like that from the refs, so we can't complain. And, Lloris just misanticipated where it was going, and Royce is a good enough set-piece taker that he immediately saw Lloris's positioning mistake and was able to exploit it. He basically just played a straight ball with topspin, just over the ball and down. And I think Lloris thought that was going to whip in somehow.
Yeah, it was challenging to watch, man, because you kind of saw it was coming, and Julian Aldi always scored the 3rd goal and get Henderson on L, and it was very, very close. And maybe that's what Dolo was talking about, that he didn't want to lose, and maybe he thought his team was done, and that was the only thing he could do is just hold a tie, right? Maybe that was it. But let's listen to Professor Dolo talk about what happened there and what he thinks it's valuable if you cannot win all the time. So hold on here. Let's just get this done.
Really important not to lose games, not just always to look to win. Yes, we all want to win. We do everything we can to win derbies, especially for our fans. But it's also important to understand your way. And, we got a point tonight. And Our arch rival hasn't won a game yet.
Steve, I always talk
I feel like he microphone dropped right there. Like he was just like, and they haven't won. In his head.
Okay, so-
and you just like gave away points to them, like a team that can't win and you couldn't beat them. Like this to me, from a winning position, when you go back to Vancouver,
Yeah.
we put in 2 goals and we gave up 2 goals from winning position to tie. Look at the Inter Miami Champions League game. We had a 3-goal advantage on them and we gave up 3 goals. Like this, seeing things out is just not working.
It's also the timing of his comments. I'll be honest. Like there's just this not when you gonna say that, because it could be true. Like if sometimes you need a tie on the road and it's enough. It was not enough here. It was clearly a letdown. People were upset because you were leading late against the team, against your rival. They're not looking good. You are looking good. You know what I mean? We just come from a massive win that we're going to talk about in the middle of the week. And then, you laid an egg, once again at Dignity Health Sports Park, because that's the other thing, guys, how hard it is to play there. Our team has not had success at Dignity Health. And here we go. Another lost opportunity to win away, especially at that venue. I don't know. I just feel like it gets on these guys' head a little bit too much when you play in Carson. So it's part of rivalries, right? And if you saw the scores among all the rivalries in MLS, a lot of ties, a lot of really, really good parity. And this game wasn't different. It seems like the Galaxy wanted a little bit more than us. And I feel like Professor's comments kind of told us that. What do you think, Katie?
I agree. I think that Galaxy came out and they did want it more than us. And I think it was evident just watching Peck and Royce and then watching Paintsville come in and just tearing shit up in there. He really caused problems coming in. He was a good person to bring off the bench. Yes. People that come off our bench don't do that. That's what's frustrating, I think. So he changed that whole momentum of the game when Paintsville came in. So yeah, and also you guys, I also don't think that it's always just Dolo's fault for making this game go into a tie. I also think that if our players don't want it enough and they're freaking tired and they're whatever, it is on them. They didn't come to win. I don't think. I think they put in a good 30 minutes and then the rest they didn't.
I can't agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. Again, about those last 20 minutes, you got to give your all, right? Because it's about the player. You're letting these leads go. But it also concerns me that we've always been a really good team, physically speaking. We've always been on top of our game physically. And this year, not so much. You had guys complaining of cramps, guys asking to be subbed out early. I don't feel like it's the player's job to ask to be subbed out. Your coach should know how many minutes you need to go. Right. And if he knew Marky Delgado could only go 60, he should have had a plan for Marky Delgado. And maybe he should have started Frankie Amaya so that Marky could have come off the bench. Let's be honest. If you're going to play 60 minutes, maybe you should play the last 60 with your best guys, right? Am I crazy, Eric? I mean, this seems to me it's like a counterintuitive not to have your best 11 to start a game because you don't want to fall behind. But look, your best 11 is falling behind and you can't close the game. So why not maybe go with something like we saw in the Seattle game? Good segue here, where you had some of these guys come in. Cengiz Ünder played really well for us. Artem Smolyakov did a really good job. What would you think, about maybe mixing it up a little bit instead of this best 11 concept that we seem not to get it right, man?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think even looking at Saldana and getting him in there would have been probably a good idea. They needed to keep 3 midfielders because, again, like when they go down to 2 midfielders and Carson's playing 3 midfielders, all of a sudden our midfield, they're a guy short. They don't have the advantage. And our wing backs just weren't getting it done. All day they looked slow. And so moving them into wing backs is just kind of like, something more needed to be done. And I think just like Ordaz, I think even if we go back a month from now, like people don't look at Ordaz the way they do today, and they even thought of him coming off the bench at all, people didn't even want. They're like, oh no, just Ebobisse, Giroud, that's it. But same with Smolyakov, these guys, it's time to let some of these younger guys start getting more minutes and doing their thing. And good things have been happening from that. Saldana is one that he's going to improve for more minutes. And at this point, what do we have to lose? I know we have the Club America game coming up, but even so, like, that's even more. We need to start getting these guys into some game minutes before that. So if we need to call their number at this game, it's not like they're coming on for their third ever MLS game, in that moment. Like, we gotta start seeing what we have in other areas of the bench, because some of the guys who've been there for a few years, they're starting to lose it, and it's time to give guys the opportunity to beat them out and take that spot, just like Diego Palacios did with Jordan Harvey.
Mm-hmm. This Club America thing. Go ahead, Katie.
No, sorry. I was just saying I miss him. I think he was the best.
He was really good. I was going to say that this Club America thing really will probably make or break our season, right? Because if we are in, it will force the front office to likely make some moves, and there's going to be special windows to do that so that we can look competitive, given that our windows don't align. So it might change, right? It might be the way that we do get rid of Giroud a little bit earlier if he's indeed not in our plans. It doesn't look like he is. I try to convince you guys, and you're saying no. The coaching staff is saying no. So it would be great for us to have a little bit of an opportunity to move this guy. And then suddenly we have a DP spot open. And then there's Ünder, right, which is the big question. He played excellent against Seattle. I thought maybe we would see him start. But again, to Eric's point, the other guys have been playing so well, and that continuity matters there. But, what do you do about your DPs going forward? And, understanding that his loan is going to end in the middle of the World Championship. So I feel like that will basically get in the way of all the negotiations of players. So that game will dictate our future more than anything else. Ünder, for me, couldn't it just be extended? Don't you think it's possible to just extend his loan? And would you, Eric, extend Cengiz Ünder's loan if you could at this point until December, let's say?
I would only extend him if we are, let me lay out the scenario. Number one is if we somehow miraculously pull off a win against Club America, this will instantly change my attitude on everything, and suddenly I won't be so. I'll still be lukewarm Dolo out, but I'll be like, I'll let him finish whatever, he got us here. Cool. Like, if we get to that game, I think it's easier for Fenerbahce to extend the loan, because they're going to say, hey, our guy is about to play in the Club World Cup with all the eyes in the world on him. Fenerbahce, they want to move this guy, and if he's not going to move here, they don't want to just like stick him here indefinitely on loan, because that does nothing for them. It does nothing for Under's value, and they want to do something with him. I know right now their manager doesn't play at the right formation, but they want to move him. They want to get probably at least 15 million from him. That's kind of his transfer market value. They've told us 25 million. So if we go to the Club World Cup, I could see them extending him. But then I say to myself, do we want to? If we look at the right wing, like we probably could use him. But there's also the Giacomakis rumor from Cruz Azul that came out today that LAFC is inquiring about him. And this could be the 9 to basically replace Giroud and do what he hasn't done. And I don't think this will make Ordaz lose minutes. I think Ordaz will start spelling Martinez on the right side, because he's also a left footer, plays inverted. So I think this is also one, and this, if we qualify for Club World Cup as well, that they let the Ünder loan end and they sign Giacomakis as a DP to give us a little more firepower at the 9 and somebody that can do more of what they want to do. As far as Giroud, as I said earlier, I think that's going to play itself out. It doesn't seem like they have any interest in getting rid of him early or anything like that. So I think he's going to run until December, and the club's going to announce, part of our history, we've chosen not to execute the club option to extend him for another year.
Oh my God! So we got a deadbeat coach and DP that will not leave our books until next year.
Yep.
Oh, man. I think you still play for some of Mario Gonzalez's salaries, too.
Nothing to lose playing the kids.
Mario's still on our roster.
Yeah, he's taking his spot. Yeah, absolutely. He's still. That's why I said I think someone else pays his salary because he's loaned out or not. But yeah, absolutely, he's in our roster taking up a spot. That was a really bad move that no one's talking about. So those moves add up. And if you're not getting production out of your DPs, you're going to be in trouble. This is why I don't buy the big DP name. You have to find these mid-range guys, your Chicho Orangos out there that can come in here because they're hungry. They want to move up to the next level, and they want to get paid. So you have an opportunity to make these guys your star. So hopefully LAFC has something cooking here because I'm very excited with this World Cup. I think it's an opportunity for LAFC to really put itself out there. It's one of the teams that in Brazil gets the most amount of respect and repercussion when it does something. So it would be really good for this club to, bring more players, just continue the history and a fast track history to what it's done so far. But guys, I think we talked. Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Thomas Muller, would you take him?
Is he a 9?
Yeah, on a 10 deal, it did.
Let's say you had to lock him in as a DP
deal
for a year and a half with a 1-year club option. Do you take it?
Well, again, if he's going to take Under's spot and it's something like that, just a year, and it's not like Under's giving you anyways, and he can play Cam like center attacking midfielders, and why not? Right?
10,
he's a big
not
name.
a 9.
But if you want to play the 9 again and hope to make this work, I almost would just wonder why would we want to do that, right? I just don't think it's a good idea because it's a system problem too. It's not just Giroud. The guy just didn't forget to play overnight. You can get old, but you just don't forget to play. You look at Kai Kamara. Like, you get old, you don't forget to play. You know your spot. You put the ball up, I'm going to go up there, right? Giroud just forgot how to do it. He did get by the way, he did get an assist, I believe, in the middle of the week, if I'm not mistaken, towards the end of the game. So let's talk about the fact that we did beat the hell out of the Seattle Sounders. Now, I felt like Seattle did not show up at all. Sorry?
Was that the Yeboah goal he got an assist?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, so he ends up with an assist in that game. So he did contribute to the score sheet. A game that was extremely one-sided in LAFC's favor. It felt like Seattle did not want to show up at all, didn't want to show anything, and was just basically holding itself for their Cascadian Cup game, which ended up also in a tie, and comes out to Bima with the rotated squad. João Paulo is the captain, older guy, doesn't play as much, and 4-0 win for LAFC. So it's hard to criticize and ask a coach to go away right after he beat the crap out of the team he eliminated us last year. So let's all step out of our Tráfico heads here, and let's put our LAFC fan heads here and say, what was that game and what it meant for us to get the 3 points against the Sounders in the middle of the week, right, on a rotated squad, right? So I'll start with you, Eric. Big game. This LAFC goals came from Ünder, Ebobisse, Bouanga, which did the flip, right? And then Yeboah with his first goal for LAFC. What did you think of that game, Eric?
That's one of those games I watched and I wondered where this LAFC team has ever been. It looked like a Bob Bradley attack, honestly, where the way that they were just working the triangles on them and they were switching the ball quick. They were basically pulling Seattle out of position and then overloading before Seattle could get back into position and just creating chaos. And by the time we were up 2-0, it looked like basically Seattle had given up on that game. Like the Seattle players looked mentally beaten like long before that game ended. So it was kind of a matter of how much. And you know what? I think I even made a snarky comment on Twitter after that. I was like, well, regular season LAFC is in form right now.
And you and I talked about that, yes.
And that's always my problem is that, I expect Montreal, Toronto, like we're going to go put the spanking on them now, but big deal. Like, that's not a game that matters to us fans as much. It's not a game where the energy level rises and the team consistently brings an above average energy, but they bring that everywhere with them. And they'll bring above average energy when other teams in the league play are bringing average energy. It works out great. But then when you hit those big games and the other team is bringing all of their energy and you're only above average, all of a sudden, we look flat and we look like we didn't get off the bus. And so the Seattle was a great win. But again, I feel like with this whole week as it is, it further highlights just the mental problems we have with our team.
Yeah, it's been tough to watch the up and down, right? Like the team played well. You see attackers going well. Like I asked the question about Artem Zmoyaka. What did you see of him? What do you like of him? And Dolo was very positive about him. He said, this guy's going to be an LAFC star. Just you wait, right? And then big game comes and none of those guys show up. Some of them don't even get a chance. But Katie, I don't know if you remember a game that Bob Bradley like had to rotate his squad heavily, and it was against SKC, I believe. And we thought
it was
we were
the
gonna
kids.
get killed. And he put all the kids to play.
yes.
We
5-0.
destroyed them.
That game was
It felt like-
fantastic.
did it feel like
Duke
that a little
scored.
bit?
It was amazing. Yeah.
Duke
I
was
remember.
Duke was like
He was
playing
a
like
star.
he was Lionel Messi out there, like distributing the ball and like creating havoc.
That had
we're talking like
that had the El
19,
Munir dribble
21?
goal. El Munir carried that ball like 70 yards and scored. He went past like 7 guys down the left. It was like the 4th out of 5 goals, but still, that's low-key one of my favorite all-time LAFC goals was El Munir and that Kansas City game.
A true beatdown, and like none of the guys showed up. So it was promising to see guys like Yeboah getting in the score sheet and showing up. But it seemed to me that they were only given a chance because that was the rotated squad game, right? They're not part of his A team, right? And like you saw the substitution patterns against the Galaxy, they were very different of what you saw in this game against Seattle. And I get it; it was out of hand before we knew it, but. Just talk to me a little bit about what this Jekyll and Hyde thing has been this year. This team is one at home and another away. I've never seen. I mean, the Fire I think is worse statistically in that regards, but LAFC has one of the worst points per game differential between away and home games this year. It just is not working when you get on a plane. What is it, Katie? Tell me what's going on. What is it about BMO that is making these guys play so well?
I don't know, but they're supposed to do well at their home, field. That's what they're supposed to do. And flying and going to those away games are difficult for everybody. The Seattle game was insane. It did remind everybody, okay, this is the team that we all know and love, and we love them no matter what. We're their fans, but that was Ebobisse doing his cutback and freaking just nailing it into the goal. We weren't ready for that. I don't think anyone was ready for that. That was amazing. And this is the game that Martinez and Ordaz scored together, right? And then, is that right? And then he did a karate
Ünder
kick.
scored. I read the 4 scores earlier. Let me see. I have my notes here. I'll tell you.
Ordaz scored.
Ordaz.
Bouanga, it was Ünder, Ebobisse, Bouanga, and Yeboah. That was the 4 scores. Yeah.
Okay.
Goals for during this game.
Martinez didn't score?
No, that was
he got called back. Got called back. Remember?
No, okay,
he
so
got called back.
That was
and
Ordaz.
it was ridiculously
that's
not.
right. He had the
and
roulette.
It was the most gorgeous.
You're talking about the goal that got called back.
Yes.
I even
It was
posted
not
on Twitter
offside.
like this is bullshit.
Not offside.
Right.
Okay.
So
Pro referees didn't even review it. They're like, fuck it, they're winning. Let's just keep going. And then they gave 9 minutes on the game, 5 minutes extra time. I'm like, okay, you guys make no sense whatsoever.
My point is that everybody came out that game and they all did great things, and they all did things that you're like, holy shit, that was amazing. It was one of those games as a fan that you're so proud of your team and you're like, hell yeah. But then, the consistency when we travel just 15 minutes away is gone. It's too bad. That's the rough thing about this season. Yeah.
It's bad. But look, and then guess where we're going now? We're going to the furthest point ever from Los Angeles in Major League Soccer. We're going to Montreal. It's pretty far, it's not close. It's a good time of the year to go, I guess. And it's a beautiful city. But that's about it. And the team really stinks out there. So I really will be looking at this game as an opportunity for LAFC to do a lot of things and come out with a big win. Eric, I'll start with you. How are you feeling about this game? And, understanding that we're going to go on the road, which means that I guess a tie is okay, right? But we're also playing, once again, the worst team, at least in the East side, right? So in the conference. So what do you think of this game that is coming for LAFC? Not someone we play very often.
No, I think it's going to be an absolute beatdown because they're going to feel frustrated over how that last game ended, and they're probably going to take it out on Montreal and on our poor goat, Mr. Kwadwo Opoku, who's still in Montreal. Left to eat poutine and shiver in the cold, that poor Ghanaian lad. But that's all I think about Montreal is Opoku. I freaking love that kid. But Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah,
go.
and Duke ended up there too.
Yeah.
Speaking
Is
of
Duke there too?
Duke was there at some point. I don't know if he stayed with them, but he did get some chances here and there. He was a depth piece for them under different coaches, but they're on their third coach in 12 months. Nobody can survive that. And
Oh,
Opoko's
yeah,
really didn't
Bryce
pan
Duke
out
is still
there, which
there.
was
He
really
is
sad.
still there.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
and what's weird about that team is that we always fleece them for a shit ton of gam, right? And we just send them these players that were good for us but not great. And I love Opoku, right? But he ended up becoming a buttload of gam for us and never paid off for them. So it sucks for a team that doesn't really have a lot to work with. When they make a move like that and it doesn't pan out, it really hurts. And for the player, someone that probably could have gone in there and done really well, it sucks too, because that was their chance to make that leap. And for Opoku, it did not happen. We'll see what happened to that kid, because he was excellent for us. He did all what we asked him to do, right? But again, time will tell what happens there. But do we rotate? Do we rotate at all? And who do we not play, right? Or do we go with the same 11? I'll start with you, Katie. Is there a need to maybe bring some fresh blood, some new ideas here? This is a good chance to do that. Or do you just go with your best 11 as we talked about earlier?
Normally, I'm always best 11. I never, ever say run the kids. I know Eric loves to run the kids, but I don't, because I always think best 11 always on the field. But for this game, and I'm going to say that, yes, it's time to switch it up, put in all the people that we had in versus Seattle, and even more than that. I don't want anyone, I want everyone rested for the America game. I don't want to screw around.
Yeah, that's at the end of the month, right? Which means that we have this game and that's it, right?
No.
I thought this was the last one.
Yeah, we have Montreal. They cleared our other games off, so we have Montreal on Saturday, and then we come back here for Club America.
That's it, right? That's what exactly.
But
so you confirm what we both thought, which is this is it, right? In terms of games, this is the one game we're gonna have before that. So I think you do what you think will be best to play against Club America, right? This is a scrimmage nonetheless. It's the last professional scrimmage before you play the biggest game of your, I would say, history, right, guys? I mean,
this is a $10 million game.
I know, and not to mention, exactly, the financial repercussions of even being there are insane. Not to mention that you get to say that you are a part of that tournament. The bragging rights associated with it are insane. We get to see LAFC play Flamengo. I'll poop my pants. Sorry, guys. I know it's not proper to say these things in the air, but I will completely lose my shit to see a match between an LAFC team, any of LAFC team, and a Brazilian team. It's a dream of mine, especially because they don't play Copa Libertadores, which is one of my favorite soccers to watch, right? It's that tournament. So, it is a big game. So who cares who we play for these guys, right? We just want to make sure everybody's healthy. But I got to get at least a starting 11 from you guys. So I'll start with you, Eric. Please tell me, who would you start for this game? We're going to start Loris. So let's just assume that he's going to make the trip. He's speak a little French there and stuff, right? But let's start with the fullbacks. Who would you start at fullback?
I'm going with Smolyakov and Palencia at fullbacks. I'm putting Hollingshead on the bench, and I think Hollingshead will sub in for Palencia. And I think between the two of them, we can get 90 minutes of good legs in there. And I want to see Artem run for the week, and I want to see Artem against Club America as well. They got speed. We know he's going to have to deal with Brian Rodriguez. And I just don't know if our fullbacks can handle the pace that Club America has on their wings. And so we need our fastest fullback, and that is Artem. Not a ton of experience, but it's time to get them, and it's time to throw him in the water and see if he swims, because it's that time.
And then let's talk about center back. So shout out to Marlon. I believe we're going to have an interview at Territory MLS with him tomorrow. It seems confirmed at this point. So that will be coming out on our channel. It's going to be in Portuguese, but I'll do my best to subtitle in English. And we get to hear about his journey, not only in Brazil, but also what he's been up to here at LAFC. So I'm excited for that. But who would you start beyond the two fullbacks, right? Who would you have? Let's start with you, Kate. Let's do something different here. Eric did the fullbacks, so I'll go with you. Who would you have out there in the back, right? Segura and Long together, they did not look good against the Galaxy. I did not like Segura in this game. Would you bring Marlon back for Segura as part of this rotation? Who would you start as your center backs?
I'm going to start Segura. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to start Long. You can go ahead and rotate them later, but that's who I would start with. Yeah.
So you want to start them? Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, the only risk you have here is that Long picks up a knock, right? He's been pretty knocked, so maybe that's a guy you do want to rest because
So put Marlon in.
Yeah, and then use Marlon with Segura, which is kind of what we saw in Seattle, right? Against Seattle, I really liked that lineup. The two of them actually worked pretty well together, right? And it wasn't a combination we were accustomed to seeing very much. So maybe that's something we see. But I like where you're going with it. My only risk is Long is susceptible to injury. He's a guy that maybe if we pick up an injury there would be the worst possible time. You do not want to go in the Club America game with these two guys, right? So that would be my only thing about starting Long. But midfield, I go to you, Eric. Igor Jesus to me has been overly utilized. If that was a game for him to sit, would be that. But he's 20, and 20-year-olds recover differently, as Katie may know. Katie, are your sons 20 yet? No, you don't have a 20-year-old.
They're 14.
Okay, not there yet. But you know how they are, man. It's like they seem like they're down, and it's like, oh my God, it's gonna take a while to get better. And then 2 hours later, they're asking for food and being all active. I'm like, what's wrong with you? But tell me a little bit. Who would you start in the middle, Eric? Given that I believe we need a little rotation in that midfield.
Well, luckily for this game, we have a full week until this next game, and then we're going to have a full week again. So when it's a one game a week, I don't worry about rotation, even if they have to fly basically 6 hours across the country. So I'm going to go with basically what we've been seeing the whole time: Igor Jesus, Marky Delgado, and Timothy Tillman. And Timothy Tillman is a weak link, I think, in that group. And I think he should probably be the first guy coming out if we do sub. And I can see, that's the start. I could see us doing a lot of substitutions in the 65th, 70th minute, especially if we're up, just to give these guys a little more resting time. But yeah, I like that.
Just keep it going.
Yeah, keep it going. And also, I think why am I blanking on his name? The new fullback that we got in.
Tafari?
Pardon?
Delavalle? Tafari?
No, Amaya.
Frankie Amaya. Oh, he's a midfielder, not a fullback.
I like him.
No,
he's been spelling Delgado, right? He's coming in for Delgado a lot these days.
Yeah, no, Frank. I like the way Frankie Amaya's looked. I mean, he's not quite there yet, but I can see him working out in this lineup. So, and possibly at some point, maybe he's going to be the guy that replaces that. Tillman sits for him. We're looking at Amaya, Jesus, Delgado, but but I like him too. But our regular three is what we got to go with, as you said too. We have to dress rehearsal for Club America on this one.
Oh man, I'm getting nervous just talking about it. I don't know what's gonna be like talking about that game, but I'm just gonna be in a completely different level, guys. I don't know, but we'll talk about that when we have to. Let's just finish it up. Our offense, right? Any rotation with those guys? I'd like to see Ünder play a little bit more. I don't know about you guys, Katie. I'll just end with you there. Who would you start up front?
Oh, I would love to see Ünder. I just think he needs a little bit more run. But I don't know that. I know Eric
Martinez looked beat up, by the way. He looked like
Martinez always looks beat up. That guy.
He took a pretty big spill from
you guys. He's what? How old is he? 19. The kid
up, man. These guys
90 minutes.
These guys beef up. Gabriel Pirani told me that last year it was hard. He was just getting smacked left and right. And, they had to bulk up. And, South Americans don't get the same type of nutrition that we do here in America. We're not corn-fed buddies. They grew up in the Midwest, with plenty of nutrition. No, I don't know.
No, but the only I'm just gonna say we need Martinez in there for the creativity.
Yes.
So I do like him in there. So I think I would love to see Ünder, Martinez, and Bouanga, and go ahead and bring what's his name? Ordaz.
Oh, no, Ordaz. Okay.
Has he ever played any other position besides that winger position?
Ordaz? I don't believe
he
so.
He plays the 9 and the right wing. He plays 9 and wing. That's what he played.
And I don't watch him at the El Salvador level to see how they play them there. Because it's always interesting to see how they
he's their 9 too.
Static 9. But I like him playing as in that position. He's been excellent. And, please, whatever it's the false 9 or the real 9, he's doing a really good job at it. He's very fast. He's getting stronger and stronger too.
He looks good.
He looks like the real deal. I'm very happy with him. Hey, before I let you guys go, we're going to do the predictions, of course. But, very interesting story.
Let me also.
Yes.
I just want to talk a bit about the front three and not get skipped on. I will say, like,
yeah, we were doing an alternative, but please
I
go ahead.
but there's no more position group, so otherwise,
go ahead.
So I do think that Martinez and Ordaz seem to go into the game and out of the game together, and I think it's good for that to continue. And I think of all of our groups, if our front three rested this next week, I think Martinez and Ordaz play so well together that those guys can probably take a week off from playing a game, and they're not going to miss a beat going into America. So of everybody on there, I think those are the two that we could rest if we wanted to. And so as you're saying with Martinez and the injury, maybe it is good for us to rest, and we put in Ünder, and maybe Ünder comes in with Giroud as well. I mean, Giroud, this could be a game for Giroud to play if those two are going to rest.
I'm not bringing Giroud up anymore because I feel like every time I do, you guys just say, nah, we're not doing that. But I'm glad you did, because I would love to see him get some minutes and redeem himself to an extent. You know,
I think
it's really embarrassing for everybody involved. Go ahead.
No, this is the game for Giroud to go in. I mean, I'm okay with it on this game.
They do speak French in
there you
Montreal.
go.
Not that it matters, but I know what you know what I mean. If you're looking for a reason to play Giroud, you know.
So funny enough, I lived in Quebec as a kid for a year, and French people don't consider the Quebecois French. French are very they are very protective about their language, and the way that Quebecois speak French, they don't consider that French at all. They're like,
that's very French of them.
It is beneath them, yes.
Hey, but look, guys, it's been a great show. We're against the hour. I really appreciate your presence, both of you here. It's been fun to talk to you. But before we go, I do have another question for you, and I'll start with you, Eric, so you don't feel left out. Today, I had a very interesting interaction with a bunch of Messi fans in my feed, which came after me because I said he wasn't the best ever. Because guess what? He's actually trying to leave. He's not going to renew his contract. Maybe he will, but people are saying that he doesn't really want to stay here anymore, and the contract negotiations have stopped with him and Inter Miami. So I just wanted to know your opinion on Messi himself, what he's done for this league. You're an MLS
best
guy,
player?
right?
Are we talking about the best player right here?
So when I talk best player in the world, I'm always going to think it's Pelé. So thank you for, first of all, getting that out of the way, because Pelé
I just happen to have this Cosmos jersey sitting here with Pelé in the back.
Thank you very much. That was very good timing. But like, look, man, all I was trying to say is that, like, anytime this guy has a hard time, right? Every single time this guy had a hard time, he decides to bounce. And I think that, you know, he's going to go to Argentina and have every single stadium be packed to see him. So it looks like he's looking for an exit strategy. But I just wanted you, as an MLS fan, just talk to me about this few years that he's been here, what it's meant to you, and do you think it's helped MLS? And is it time for him to go? And then we'll end the show. And after you, Katie will go. Go ahead, Eric.
So first, I think the Messi Pelé is almost like the Michael Jordan LeBron debate, where it's very generational and a lot of, face it, I'm an old guy and I really don't have much memory at all of actually seeing Pelé play. I just know that what he did for the game in the world. I'm old enough to see Jordan, but I think Messi, much like LeBron, is the younger generation that is far removed from that. And so for them, this is all they know. So I don't know. Messi obviously is a great player. But as far as for MLS, I think he's overall been good for MLS. But for my enjoyment of MLS, it has not been good. I feel like it's kind of turned our league, for those of us who are sickos about this league before he showed up, it kind of turned our league into a bit of a circus. And now we get dragged into this whole, like, Messi's the best ever. And it's like, well, yeah, that dude just got freaking spanked by Minnesota.
He got shithoused, as you like to say, by Orlando.
So, it's just kind of funny that we can just point out, he got shelled by Minnesota. So, whatever.
That's what happened. Katie, anything you want to add? I mean, I am tired of watching the pink shirts at my girls' school in Thousand Oaks, California. I mean, what's going on? I'm done. Like, next guy, please. What are your Messi thoughts before we get out of here?
No, it's been a blessing to have Messi here and all of his friends. But yeah, I feel like it's kind of done with already. They have not succeeded in what they tried to do with him. They've succeeded by bringing new people maybe to watch. But yeah, no, I don't think the games are really, he's kind of screwing everything up, and he's not happy, and he's angry every game.
Very.
Like it's just like you can tell like he's not happy here. So it wasn't what he expected, I don't think. So yeah, I'm over it.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys' comments on that because it's big news. And again, all I will say is like I don't think someone that quits all the time is the best in my opinion. But of course, he's like Steph Curry. He's brought a ton to this game. He's changed a lot of it, and he's brought a lot of flavors to it. I'm happy, but he's also from Argentina. I'm from Brazil, and I think that he's just not all that great. And what he's done for MLS, in my opinion, is good but not great. And it seems like it's been running its course. But hey, we have a ton to talk about next week with that Club America game. It's been a pleasure being with you both here. We did not get the win in Carson, and I'm glad you guys were not there. Nobody was there to have that tough drive back from on the 405. But it is what it is. Shout out for everybody that did show up, and I saw a lot of 32-52 fans make that game, and it's always amazing to see away fans take over that spot. That is what it is all about. And if it's up to us, we're going to do that everywhere, not only in Carson, but in other stadiums across America. I know it's a tough ask, but that's when you know things are working. So, guys, thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate it. It's been a great, great show. And as usual, we're here every Monday on 6 p.m. Next week, I will get our acts working. I did not have a chance to do it, but we are way over 100 people, and I will make sure the broadcast happens there live as well. So I appreciate everybody that followed there, as well as on the Twitter. Our shorts are killing it, and there's a lot more coming. So thank you very much. See you next time.
LA Galaxy fans as well, but this is promising again for the Galaxy. Peck is in! Gabriel Peck pushed away, and then it's in! Here's Denis Bouanga. Gets around Yamane. Bouanga!
He has struggled at moments, and yet the 7th goal of his season is an absolute banger. You cannot allow him to cut it.
Still howling second ball. Ordaz is in! Oh no! See the lead! He's a big game player! 2-1.
Under the ball.
Marco Reus does get it!